12-3, Part 2, Slope-Intercept Form. This is Slope-Intercept Form. Y equals mx plus b. That is the form that a line, the equation of a line, must be written in to be called slope-intercept form. Here are some examples. Y equals 2x plus 3. That is in slope-intercept form. Y equals x plus 1. That is in slope-intercept form. Y equals 2. That's actually in slope-intercept form. You're going to find out how. Now, there's some things to know about slope-intercept form. M is always the slope. So when I look right here at this equation, I already know the slope is 2. It's in m's spot. The other thing I know is that b is the y-intercept. Get it? Slope-intercept form. B is the place where the line crosses the y-axis, y-intercept. So, the other thing I know is that in this equation, 3 is the y-intercept. It's in B's spot. So, look at this equation. There's an x, there's no number on it. What have I always said to you about plain x's and putting a number? Is it okay to put a 1 there? Yes. So the slope of this equation is 1 and the y-intercept is 1. Now this one is really strange. Y equals 2. It doesn't even have 2 parts over here. But could I write it in a way where it had 2 parts? Yes, check this out. Y equals 0x plus 2. 0x plus 2. Because wouldn't that just be 0? So the slope of this line is 0 and the y-intercept is 2. But when they write the final form of the line, they like to write it like that and drop the 0x off because 0x doesn't really mean anything. Okay, let's look at these equations of lines and say to ourselves, which ones of these are in slope-intercept form? Remember, slope-intercept form says y equals mx plus b. So we're looking for y equals mx plus b. Do you see any that fit that form? What about this one? Yeah, that's y equals mx plus b. What about the next one under it? Yes, that's y equals mx plus b. Those are both slope-intercept. Okay? The next one, 6x equals 2, that's not slope-intercept. What about this one? At the bottom, y equals 3 plus 2x. It's almost slope-intercept. Can you think what you could do to make it be in slope-intercept form? Exactly right. You could switch these two. Couldn't you switch those? Couldn't you make that be y equals 2x plus 3 just by switching places? So this one is almost, but to be in slope-intercept form, they have to switch places. What about the next one at the top? 2y plus 3x equals 5. No, that's not slope-intercept form. What about y equals 3? Yes, I hope you said yes. Remember, this is that one where you have to think in your head, y equals 0x plus 3, and then they just shorten it down. So yes, that's slope-intercept form. What about the last one? No, that's not slope-intercept form. Now, since we've just learned that all equations are not in slope-intercept form, in order to find the slope and the intercept and graph the equation, sometimes we have to change something or add something or move some things around, even do some solving like in algebra to get it in the right form. So, let's take this first problem. Y equals x. Well, I'm always going for y equals mx plus b. So I've got an x. What could I do with that plain x to get an m? I hope you said put a 1 on it. I can put a 1 on it, and then I need plus something. Well, the only thing I can put over there is plus 0, because that's the only thing that wouldn't change the problem. Now, is it in y equals mx plus b form or slope-intercept form? Yes. So, what is the slope? The slope is 1. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is 0. So, could I graph this line? Yes. Here's how you graph it. You always start with the y-intercept. Where does our line for this one cross the y-axis? Well, it crosses at 0, which is right here, so that's our first point. Okay, that's the first thing to do. Put the point 0. Second thing to do, take your m, your slope, and write it as a fraction. Well, how can I write 1 as a fraction? How about 1 over 1? Okay, that makes a nice fraction. Now, I'm going to count from my point I put on B, right here, this point, and I'm going to go up 1, because that's what the top number is telling me. Go up 1, it's positive, up 1, and then I'm going to go over 1, over 1. That's the bottom number. Up 1, over 1 in a positive direction, because both of those are positive. If one was negative, I would have gone down, or I would have gone to the left, but positive is up 1 over 1. So if I go up 1 over 1, my next point is going to be right here, right? Up 1 over 1 is going to land me right there. So now I have 2 points. Can I graph this line? Sure. There's the line. So that's how I find the slope, I find the y-intercept, and I graph it. Okay, here's my next example. Is this one in y equals mx plus b form? No. So I have to do something to make it be in y equals mx plus b form. Remember, I'm always going for y equals mx plus b. That's a terrible x. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is that I could switch sides with the two things and get my y on this side and get my x on this side, because I'm allowed to switch sides in an equation because aren't both sides equal? Sure. So now I've got a y in the right place, but my trouble is I don't need 5y, I just need plain old y. So what could I do using algebra to get rid of the 5? Well, I could divide by 5. So that gives me y equals 8/5 x, and I almost have slope-intercept form, but I need a b. And since there's no b available, we're going to put plus 0. We always put plus 0 when there's no b hanging out there. Now, is it in y equals mx plus b form? Yes. So what is the slope? The slope is 8/5, and this one it's already written as a fraction, which is nice. What is the b, or the y-intercept? The b is 0. So, to graph it, I'm going to always start at the b, and I'm going to graph the point where it crosses the y-axis, which is at 0, just like our last one was. And then I'm going to look at the slope, and I'm going to use the top number and go up or down, depending if it's positive or negative. And the bottom number goes side to side, so I'm going to go up 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8 gets me about right there. Up 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then over 5. 2, 4, 5. So there's my point right there. Up 8 over 5. Then all I have to do is connect the dots. And there's my line. Okay, here's the next example. Is it in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Remember, I'm always going for y equals mx plus b. That's what I want. This is not even close to that. So I have to start saying to myself, what could I move around to get it that way? Well, first of all, I don't need x over here on the y side. I need x to move over and get on the mx side, if you will. So I could go minus 3x, couldn't I? Aren't you allowed to do that in algebra? As long as you do it to both sides. So I did it to both sides. So that cancels. That leaves me 7y. And on this side over here, I've got a 9 and a minus 3x. So when I write them down over here, they're not like terms. They can't add, can they? No. But I can write them both down on that side, but I want to put the x thing first because of the mx plus b. So when I write them down, I'm going to go minus 3x plus 9, because that's a positive 9. So it makes sense to put a plus sign and not a minus sign. Now, the next thing I'm seeing, I'm almost there. There's only one thing that's keeping me from being in y equals mx plus b form. That's the 7. So could I divide out the 7? Yes, but I have to divide everything by 7. So that's going to be y equals negative 3/7 x plus 9/7. It's totally and completely acceptable to leave it in fractions, even improper fractions. That is the answer. Now, what would the slope be? Where's our m? Well, the slope is negative 3/7. And what would the b be? The b would be 9/7. And this one would not be fun to graph because you've got to find 9/7. But we're going to give it a shot, even though I just drew all over the graph. So let's change colors. Okay, 9/7 is 1 2/7, right? So it's going to cross the y-axis somewhere around a little more than 1, somewhere between 1 and 2, because 1 2/7 is between 1 and 2. And then it's going to go down 3, see that negative, and over 7. So I'm going to go 1, I'm just going to make some little dots so you can see where I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, there's down 3, and over 7. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's my other point. Ugh, doesn't want to draw on the graph. There we go. So your line is actually right here. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, you try this one. See if you can get it into y equals mx plus b form. Remember, that's what we're always going for, y equals mx plus b. Get it solved for that. Use algebra, then graph it. Then turn your video back on and see if you did it all correctly. Okay, here's the worked out solution for this problem. Take a few minutes, see if you got it right, look for where you found your mistake. Let me just run through the graphing part with you real quick. Once we found out b was 3, we went to 3 and made our point on the y-axis. Then, since the slope is negative 4/3, I went down 4 over 3 to get the next point. Then I connected the dots to find the line. Okay, here's your video homework. Have a lovely evening.